Crank that up. Crank me down. Balance audio. Balance audio. Come on. All right. I think we're good. Okay. Camera, 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 game, action.
Green light.
We got qualifying for 21 hours.
Good morning everybody and welcome along to our live coverage of the Ford Mustang Challenge. It is the Le Mans Invitational. Beautiful morning, slightly overcast as we came in here this morning. Good to have you company wherever you are in the world from the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre on the Circuit de la Sarthe. Just over 13.5 kilometres, 8.5 miles. John Magnoff with you, and joining me and Peter Mackay is the voice of Ford Performance Ambassador, a man who has driven here, who's raced here, he knows Fords, he knows this Ford Mustang as well, none other than Andy Cleo, MBE. Good morning Andy, how are you?
there in the top 6 cars, so it's going to be a fun race.
Yeah, actually, I think it's going to be that lineup has changed since yesterday, Peter, and this was because of an infraction on the Robert Noe car on the front end of the machine.
That's right, effectively a ride height infraction for Robert Noecker, who's been dominant all week. Really quick, he was 4.5 seconds quicker than everyone in free practice 1. Remarkable. I know Le Mans is longer, but it's still a big margin. And then a couple of seconds quicker in free practice 2 and did the job in qualifying yesterday. So very impressive from him, but the car was at below the minimum ride height, so therefore he is going to have to start all the way at the back. I suppose selfishly for us, that's going to give us some great entertainment.
True enough, and that means, well, we know he's got the fastest car. Andy, Le Mans, it is a place of legend, literally. We're not overhyping this. Mustang Challenge, this is not a round of the championship. People have literally come from around the world. What does it take to be fast here at Le Mans?
Do you know what? It stands my hairs up just getting the chance here to see these youngsters getting an opportunity to race here, which is just can be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and can set them up well for the future. It's hard. As I said to the guys, listen, you're going to get within half a second of where you need to be fairly quickly. That last half second is an absolute grind around here. High concentration, long straights, all luring you into a mistake, old school circuit, cambers, changing surfaces, fast corners, very fast entries, precision on braking required. It's just one of those tracks that just wears you down. But it's an amazing place.
You did the track walk with the Ford Junior Academy drivers on Sunday this week. The mod just merges into one. I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it? Yes, it was. When you walk round, there was some cycling involved, thank goodness, because otherwise you'd have been very tired at the end of it. What were you pointing out then? If we go from the start-finish line, you go across the start-finish line, through the first corner and heading up towards the iconic bridge, which you talked about hairstand on end. I've only driven this on test days and then only in a straight car, but driving out the pits and seeing that in front of me, I can die a happy man now. So from there, what are you telling people to look out for?
You know, it depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a dark horse legend, I might just be a little bit less detailed about, you know, this is where you need to place the car, and this is how you need to brake. But if you're talking to dark horse drivers, and particularly the junior drivers who spent a lot of time with this weekend, it's really the details. It's, you know, turn 1, how do you roll off by rolling off the throttle and not just, you know, rushing the braking. You're going to balance the car better, where to place the car exactly, how to shape the corner, which curves you should be careful of, you know, how you use the cambers, how you use the slipstreams, how you just, you know, drive with less energy to help your VMAX, and all of these things, you know, the details that really help.
39 cars that are pitted, or at least paddocked, if that is the correct word, over by what was old Maison Blanche. And yesterday in the autograph session, Ford threw the whole paddock open. They didn't just put out a whole load of tables. All the drivers were by their cars, Peter. There was a queue from there all the way back down to the Porsche curves. I am not, sorry, to the Ford GK, the other way. I have never seen anything like it for a support series here. Frankie Munoz, obviously Malcolm in the middle must have been massive here because he was absolutely mobbed. There had to be extra security in. One of the cars is now signed by the public. That's a great story.
That is my favourite story. That's what I was going to mention. Number 87, Douglas Peterson, who's racing at the age of 74. He's had an amazing career. He races, fittingly, a Mustang in the Trans Am Championship, and he's been a race winner back in the IMSA Lights days. Remember those in the early 90s? So he's had a great career, and he took the hood off the front of his Dark Horse R and said to everyone, saying, no, you're not going to sign a poster. You're going to sign the hood of my race car, so your name goes around the Circuit de la Sarthe. What a cool thing to do.
Honestly, we could have still been there now for the amount of people who wanted to go down there, see the cars and see the drivers. There's something very special, Andy Prio, about Mustang. It is one of the legendary global cars.
It's iconic, John. It's just iconic. It's pure I don't know, racing. When I remember I spent many years with another manufacturer, but when I rocked up to my house in my Ford Mustang, I suddenly went to a much higher level of recognition amongst my family and my kids. You know, this car is iconic. It's great to still see this vehicle racing. It's a big car, but it handles well, it does everything right. I've driven not only the Mustang GTD, the GT3 and the Dark Horse. It just turns in well, it does everything you want it to do, it's plug and play. And you know, for such a big saloon car, it's really nice to see. And here we go, on the, I guess this is the safety cars.
Yeah, a couple of street cars going out at the moment, available in right-hand drive for those of you in Australia, South Africa, and of course the UK. Looks like there's a couple of people getting some quick laps here as the two Dark Horse road cars go out. The Dark Horse Challenge car is very heavily based on the road car, over 500 horsepower from the V8 5-litre legendary sounding Coyote engine. That is lifted straight from the road car. It's got some racing bits and pieces on it, of course, but this is not an aerodynamically sensitive GT3 or GT4 car. You can buy one for 145,000 of your American dollars and go racing in the States, $159,000 plus taxes, and go racing in the States in IMSA. That Tremec 6-speed manual gearbox. Now, Andy, that's a bit different. How long is it since you raced a car with 3 pedals?
Do you know what? I love it. I love it. I love seeing these kids having to deal with a proper, proper shift and crossing the gate and downshifting. I think all young racing drivers should learn to drive manual gearboxes, and also, John, and good old heel and toe, good old-fashioned braking with heel and toe, because you can really influence the balance of the car with your braking and your down changing, and it gives you a real understanding of how you synchronize that whole process, feet and hands together, to keep the car in a good balance. And some of the kids have struggled with that, and obviously
some of the older guys have
also struggled. But I like it. I like the concept. I think it's great. The gearbox is pretty bulletproof. You can't rush the change. There's not a huge amount to change on the car, which I think is a good thing. You can go up and down on spring rates, bars. You've got a DSSV multimatic damping system, just bump and rebound, and you can play a little bit with cameras and toes. So it's not overcomplicated, and it's mostly about the driving.
So cars coming out onto a formation lap. The pit lane has been filled with the teams and the equipment. This is not, repeat, not a pit lane race. We'll go through the grid for you at the moment, but another car I want to pick up, Peter Mackay, is the number 47. It's twice 47, because so good they numbered it twice. It's got the blue background signifying that is one of the Dark Horse Legends cars. Come back to that in a moment, because I want to pick up on the Robert Noack story. This was the front splitter issue on the 13 car. This is the driver who's leading the championship in the States at the moment.
Yeah, not just leading the championship, totally dominating it. 4 wins from 4 for Robert Noack. He's been the real benchmark driver in the class, and he's carried that pace into this Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational. I wonder what he'll be wanting to see. Will he want to see the safety car come out? If it does come out, he won't want to see it out for long, because he needs the racing laps to get up the order, I guess. But I would imagine we'll see him forced to the front very quickly, or at least through the field very quickly. The guys at the front, they'll be hoping for absolutely no safety cars. They want to try and break away, I think.
At the front of the field then, the pole position inherited by the Ryan McLeod racing car driver Cameron McLeod in the number 92, one of a contingent of drivers from Australia and New Zealand, and one in particular I want to pick out in the white number 47 with the double numbers on the side, as I mentioned. This is Tim Miles, among I think 7 Australians and Kiwis who are here in the 39 car field of Dark Horse R Mustangs.
Come on, baby.
The former Triple 8 and Tasman Motorsport owner. Fairly simple looking livery, but this one is, well, really meaningful for Tim and particularly one of his friends. It is exactly a replica of the Mustang raced by Rod McElrea the patriarch of the multi-generational New Zealand racing family, Hunter McElrea Racing in the US at the
What the
moment.
Fuck was that? What the fuck is going
both
on?
Tim Miles and the
Dude.
McElrea family come from the town of Ashburton, and Rob McElrea's son. I think Ron only died in February actually. They were firm friends from growing up, so keep an eye for that white number 47 with the big old-fashioned numbers on the side as well as the required ones. Lovely story that, from honouring the McElrea family in particular, and already a problem for one of the dark horse cars. That is the one with the white and blue. Is that Eric Evans? Yes, it is. That's one of the... I paused for a moment there, Andy Prior, because I thought that looked like one of the Academy cars, and it is Eric Evans, who's been racing in Europe in GT4, and that car has come to a halt on the formation lap. Disaster for the young man.
That's really, really sad for Eric. He's had a difficult, tricky weekend. He's one of the youngsters that is learning the manual box. He's changed the gearbox for this outing. Maybe there's an issue with the gearbox, or not the gearbox, but the installation of it, which is really sad because it's a great opportunity for him to learn this track. I want to just shout out a couple of guys on the grid that we should really mention, and one of those is Sir Chris Hoy and Chris Harris. Chris was very unlucky in qualifying. He had an issue with the limiter, so he was limited to 240k, and then it went red, so he was unable to really prove, but he's got potential. So Chris. Robert Noeka, I feel sorry for him. He's been very, very strong. Yes, the front of the car was too low, but honestly, these splitters are not hugely powerful. I don't think it was a game-changing thing, but it's very good that they're being strict because with one make series, you need the equality.
And he can't blame anybody else because it's his team. So
exactly.
So he's going to, if he goes to complain to the boss, he'll have to go and have a word with himself. So Cameron McLeod and Sam Paley on the front for McLeod Racing Cars and the Paley Motorsport. The best of the Academy drivers is Marco Signoretti, the Canadian in number 97, from David Wall for Wall Racing, another one of the Antipodeans who've come up to have a go. On row 3, Academy Motorsports, Matt Nichol-Jones, and Automatic Racing's Will Lucas. Jensen Oldsman for Team Floral is here. That's another Academy driver. Many of these drivers have brought friends and family over, and I know that Jensen's very proud parents, Jason and Ali, are here. Known those two a very long time, and known their son since he was literally a toddler.
He's a lovely kid.
He's grown up around motor racing. Reminds me of a lot of Sebastian, your son. Yeah. Grown up around motor racing.
He's very humble. I like Jensen. He's very open to learn. He's quick. He's one of our juniors. You know, I've only met the 3 juniors from the US side. Normally Mike Rockefeller takes care of them. Yeah. But very, very nice guy, and he's going to go a long way in the sport. I'm also, I must say, super impressed with Cameron McLeod.
Oh yeah,
he's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Barely sat in the car and has been pushing Noeka all weekend. In the other classes, the Dark Horse Legends, that is a Robert Noeka racing car. That's 8th overall for Dan McKeever. Alex Bachura in the dark green, number 33, in 2nd in that class, and Alfonso Diaz rather further back, but he is in 3rd in class. Our 3rd category, which we don't normally have here, is the Dark Horse Stars, and it's Tanner Faust who is the best of those. He's in 12th position in the number 1 car, with Frankie Muniz in 2nd place in the 133, and the D1 drifting star, Chelsea Denofa, the Creative Autosport, he is 3rd in that category as they're coming round through the Ford chicane to start this timed race, 45 minutes. So stand by for action, not just in vision but in sound, as we release in the region of 19,000 horsepower coming to the grid at the moment. 500 plus horsepower each. Well, I'm going to say it's 20,000. It's going to be near enough.
Do you know what? I'd love to be out there listening to this.
You'd like to be out there driving these,
I'd love to be out there driving, but listen to that roar and that thunder of a V8. You just can't beat it.
The first race of 2 for the Le Mans Invitational Ford Mustang Challenge 2025 at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The green lights go out. We are racing. The green flag waves and the 45 minutes start counting down, and immediately Cameron McLeod tries to close down the inside, but Sam Paley is there in the white and blue car round the outside. Marco Signoretti in the Academy car, the Mustang on the side. Paley going wide, gets the inside at the first chicane. That's going to be a drag race down the hill to the Old Forest S's, 3-4 wide in the middle of the field. Noaker already moving up through the field there and taking a couple of places even before we got to the middle of the first chicane. Now heading down the hill and through the S's, round the outside for the number 34 of Will Lucas, and automatic racing in that brightly coloured machine. That's the Dubuque sponsored car, blue, red, white and black through Tertre Rouge for the first time, and onto the first part of the Ligne Droite Grenadier, the Mulsanne Straight. And Peter Mackay, the good news is they've listened to the briefing and they've got through the first few corners. We were told to expect bump drafting, and it's happening already.
It is, yeah. The Mustang, of course, very popular in the NASCAR Cup Series. We're seeing a little bit of that here going down the Mulsanne Straight as a little move down into the Daytona chicane for car number 26. Sam Paley on Marco Signoretti gets that job done to move up into second place, but it's Cameron McLeod who actually kind of just managed to break the draft a little bit there, and he's looking strong as Noaker already making his way up the order. It will get when we get the first timing point, we'll be able to see how many positions he has actually made. In fact, he's up to 29th already. He's made 10 positions in the first split. Wow.
That's in a, what, 30-40 seconds split at the front of the field though. McLeod with half a second comes into the second chicane. That's the one that goes left, right, left. Further back down the field, the red and white car of Robert Noaker's teammate, Sandy Sotelo. Sandy's been quick as well. That's the number 7 car. Mainly white with the red striping. A little bit of off-track shenanigans there from Creator Autosport and Chelsea Denofa in the Dark Horse Stars. Lost a position to Tate Pritt in the number 98 with the red numbers. The red numbers are the Dark Horse standard cars. Those are the guys who are making a career out of this. The blue number background for the Legends and the green for the Stars. At the moment, everybody is trying to make hay in the morning sunshine here. And round the outside again, that number 98 car for Tate Pritt. This is tremendous stuff. Andy Creo is watching this, and I know he's cursing his luck to be sitting next to us in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre and not sitting in the seat.
I must say, John, I'm happy I'm sat here because these cars look so equal. This is going to be a hard race, and I can see that Sam Paley and Cameron McLeod are going to have a tough race here. Remember, John, there's no TC in this car, so this is the first lap. You wait till lap 5 or 6. These guys are going to be balancing the car on the throttle, optimising their exits, and it's going to be a handful. You know, and that's great. So going to be a big race at the front here.
Battle at the front of the field. Sam Paley, who's worked his way up through the IMSA single manufacturer challenges and has been a leading light in everything that he has raced. He takes to the new cars very quickly indeed. One of what I have termed over the last few years a super rookie, almost won the Mazda MX-5 Championship in his first season in that, and he has taken to these Dark Horse Challenge cars, the Dark Horse R's, very, very well indeed.
And it's his birthday today. What a way to spend your birthday, as we have a problem for car number 35. That's Andrew Mideki. Oh no, the man
one of the Aussies
from Tasmania. Yeah, he's got back going again though. But yeah, Sam Paley up there fighting for a race win at the moment on his birthday at Le Mans. I don't know if it gets any better.
I think he had a spin at Arnage. That was Marshall Course 26, so I think he's just gone around there. Yes, now confirmed that that was the case from race control. Jensen Altsman and Will Lucas and David Wall all in a good battle for 5th, 6th and 7th at the moment as they come through the Ford chicane. Huge slide again by the white with blue racing stripes car. That is brilliant stuff from the number 95 car, and that's Nathan Van Springel.
I tell you what, John, if you can see the slide from here in the car, that would have been massive. So he's, you know, this is nice to see these guys having to deal with a limited rear grip. Yeah, good pass on the inside there for 15, which is Tate Pritt. Hang on, no, it's not.
It's Alfonso Diaz.
Alfonso Diaz. So that's impressive. I think Alfonso also races in the championship, so
He does,
these guys are going to get keyed in, and it's going to be interesting to see how this race evolves.
Biggest mover at the moment, Robert Noe, up 19 positions after his qualifying was cancelled out due to a post-qualifying infraction on the setup of the car. He is absolutely flying through, but we've got someone who will have to come down the pit lane, and we weren't expecting this, and it's Tim Miles in that number 47 Wall Racing car that we were talking about before. Incorrect starting procedure, so we'll get to see a little more of that white number 47 than we wanted to. At the front of the field, Cameron McLeod by 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, Cameron McLeod, the leader of the Super 2 Championship in Australia at the moment, which is the feeder series to the ultra competitive Supercar series, and at the moment doing a great job, leading from Sam Paley by 1.2 seconds. Paley, the leading driver amongst the juniors. There are 6 For Performance juniors taking part in this race, and Paley leads them at the moment. But how long is it going to take Robert Noaker to make his way to the front? I mean, amazing, 20 places in one lap, but those were the easiest 20 places. The next 20 places are going to be a lot more difficult.
I will say this now will start to get difficult. I always say that the middle of the grid pulls you backwards and the front end of the grid pulls you forwards, and he's now going to get into the racy part of the grid. Dark horse entries are all quite fast drivers, so it's going to get more tricky.
Well, and his last lap was something like 15 seconds away from Cameron McLeod's lap, because of course he's had all that traffic to go through. As we space out, we're still with a yellow flag at Marshall's Post 8, and that's just post Turk Rouge, but not actually all the way down to the first chicane. 2 cars involved down there. Keith Kasulki in the other Ryan McLeod racing car machine. Great to see Keith back in the car after that nasty accident he had a little while ago. And is there 2 there? I thought I saw another number. No, it is just the 191. And the mention that it's in now for Competition Motorsport, it is Jim Farley in the number 17 car. He's almost halfway up the field. He's 3rd in the stars. He's got the Chris Harris, Chris Hoy car behind them. They're going to take one of the races each, and I think that it's Chris Hoy today. So Chris Hoy today.
This is Sir Chris in here today. As I say, he's recovering from a tricky qualifying, which wasn't his fault. So he's going to go forward. He's great in these cars. Also, Chris Harris really impressed me the first day. He was in the top 5 in one of the free practice. He's a good little peddler, Chris.
Oh, he's won his class at the Nürburgring 24. In fact, they drove the car to the track, did the Nürburgring 24, and won the class. That car's now in the museum of that particular movement.
Side by side, Alex Bashira in the car with the orange, the number 33 car. Alex has often had military decals on that. US Army Air Force or USA AF, I should say, on the car in the past. He likes the number 33 as well, and he's just made up a position going into the tricky Porsche curves. These cars through the Porsche curves, not aerial cars as such. These are street-based cars, very quick in a straight line, getting well up over 165, 170 miles an hour. But they'll be moving around when you lean on them through the Porsche curves.
I'm actually watching these cars. I can see them moving around. They've all got to deal with oversteer, which is only going to get worse. So it's whoever looks after the tyre the best. These are fast cars, as I say, arriving at braking zones at 170 mile an hour, with the rear moving around. So it is going to get more and more of a handful during the race, and that's a good thing. It teaches you how to manage the tyre and how to be progressive on the throttle. And one of the things with Le Mans, if you have a poor exit, you pay for that all the way down the straight. So these guys are going to be under a lot of pressure in these chicanes to balance the throttle and get a really good exit. But it's really nice to see the driving standards at the moment, John. Very clean and very good. We've got a good racing director. So, yeah, he's got his message across.
Double yellows on the entrance to Turk Rouge, and this is for the stopped 191 Keith Kasulke's machine. In fact, it's a slow zone now, so this is exactly as you'll see in the Le Mans. They are getting the full Le Mans experience here, Peter. Where else do you get slow zone?
As soon as I saw that come up on the screen, I thought, what another thing for these drivers to get on top of. And like you say, getting the Le Mans experience as the 191 car is being dealt with. And being able to deal with an incident like that rather than have to bring the safety car out and lose a load of racing time, that is so useful. And that's now, the incident has been cleared. Fantastic job by the wonderful team of marshals here at Le Mans, and I would imagine that slow zone will be cleared fairly soon, and the whole track will go back to green flag again.
So Keith Kasulke being pushed by Marshall Power rather than V8 Coyote Power. Now, who reacts quickest to coming out of the slow zones? We've also had a spin for Scott Thompson in the lovely blue number 30 LAP Motorsports car, that mid-light blue machine. This is still the slow zone at the moment. Robert Noecker now up to 11th in class. That puts him well inside the top 20. In fact, he's in 15th position now. Wait for the green flag. Who is going to react quickest? This is not a full course yellow, just a slow zone. So they will be coming out of the slow zone as they exit the chicane. I think the slow zones tend to end as they exit.
Correct. It's the exit of
the first chicane. It tends to be in an acceleration area, is what I was trying to say.
Valuable experience for these guys. They've now experienced slow zones at Le Mans, and you can, optimise those slow zones and make sure you minimise the loss.
Yeah.
So to learn how to do that is impressive. They've got to wait for the green flag. All of these things. There's so much to take on board as a driver to Le Mans. So it's a good experience.
22nd position for Competition Motors, Jim Farley. He is the big boss at Ford. I don't mean Ford Competition, I don't mean Ford Performance or Motorsports or Ford US. I'm talking about Ford Global. The man who is at the top of Ford is racing, and he's a very tidy peddler.
I'm just thinking he must have a fantastic team of PAs who look after
executive assistants, I think you'll find.
Executive assistants.
Oh, yes.
Apologies, I didn't realise that was the term now. But you know what I mean. People who look after him, and to have the time to get into the race car. To make the time to get in the race car is fantastic, and it just shows you why Ford are so broadly involved in motorsport in so many different categories. Because
they have a racer at the head of the overall in terms of the company. Mark Rushbrook here this weekend as well. Of course, the head of Ford Performance. Had a chat with him this morning before I came into the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre here on the Bugatti circuit, and he was smiling. He's been excited about this since this was announced at the back end of last year at the Night of Champions for the first year of the American Series. Just under 40 cars that were transported across, a fantastic feat of logistics. The slow zone for Keith Kasulke's car will not be there the next time we go round. That car has been moved. It's actually showing as just on the exit of the Ford chicane at the moment on my tracker. It's not there. It's just been moved to the inside of the circuit. So if you're watching on live timing and scoring by our colleagues at Alcamel, and thank you very much to the Italian arm of Alcamel who are providing us with all of our timing and scoring data. And a particular thank you to the ACO TV and Natalie Fargier, Olivia Denis, and all of the rest of the team on site here at Le Mans for making sure that we've got these glorious pictures going to you around the world. Dark Horse Legends, it's Alex Bashura leading. He's down in 9th position. Meantime, Tanner Faust by about 7 seconds from Chelsea to Nova. Then Frankie Muniz. Right on the tail of Frankie now is Jim Farley, but Chip van Verst is between them at the moment. Robert Noecker, the man most likely, was in 15th position. He's gone past Sandy Satullo, which is one of his drivers, now up behind Josh Hansen, Peter.
So they come out through Carden Corner, then down towards the Ford chicane underneath the Ford VIP hospitality unit, where a lot of the drivers' families are watching from. It's a fantastic viewpoint there as the number 33, coming through with the 95 of Nathan Van Springle right in behind, and the way that these cars can ride the curves as well. Those Multimatic dampers working hard.
The DSSV, quite a sophisticated system. They can be tuned. You're an ex-touring car driver, so you'd be monstering these curves up to this point.
I would be absolutely monstering these curves. I would be on the grass more times than Bob Marley. No, I mean, I absolutely love this. This opportunity to muller the curbs, and yes, the multi-matic DSSB spool damper is a really trick bit of kit, to be honest. So the guys actually told me how amazing this car is over the curbs. It's a heavy car, but it just absorbs them pretty well. And I tell you, Robert Noeka is on a charge.
Yeah.
He's coming through. He is driving that car absolutely beautifully.
We talked about this in the qualifying show that we did for radio from the balcony of the VIP hospitality on the entrance to the Ford Chicane yesterday. But these cars, Peter, are you know, tuned and safety equipment added versions of the road car, which you can buy in the UK, around the world. There's right-hand drive for right-hand drive markets. What a fantastic piece of kit. And the times they're putting in are 20 seconds from the middle of the GT3 field around here on an 8.5 mile circuit. That's a lot of performance. Moment or two ago, Noeka down the inside of the number 88, making up another position as Chelsea Denova with the green mirrors, meaning he's in the stars class. Not his fight at the moment, and not wanting to get in the way of a hard charging Noeka. But the pace of these cars, Peter, really has astounded me here, and they could probably go a little bit quicker down the straight. Certainly if you get a good draft, you'll get a good run.
Yeah, huge performance, and yeah, proper brawny feel as well with that front engine V8 layout. In the stars is Tanner Faust, who's leading the way in 8th overall. Chelsea Denova in 2nd in that class and 13th overall. Frankie Muniz managed to get his way past the boss. I guess ideally the guy that invited him, Jim Farley, up into third place.
Frankie Muniz, who's had got the top 10, or at least one top 10 in one of the races I was watching in the that NASCAR trucks, and he was a bit disappointed not to do better than that in one of the races recently. Had a quick chat with him earlier in the week. He's been one of our guest commentators as well. Was with me last year at the WEC round where the Ford Mustangs were on the bill there at the Circuit of the Americas, and he's loving his time going back into racing in stock cars, and he just wants more time in this car. In the Legends, it's Alex Bashira still in 9th position that leads from Dan McKeever. Robert Noeka racing in the 91, he's at 11th overall, and in 3rd Alfonso Diaz has picked his way through some of the other drivers, and he is sitting in 17th position. 3 different categories here, all the same car.
Cameron McLeod has just edged the gap out with a 4-minute 20.9 last time by. The gap is now 4.2 seconds in the front of the field, so he's broken the draft to Sam Paley.
And Nathan Van Sprengel will have to come into the pit lane. His car has a mechanical defect of some description. The black and orange flag, you get no courtesy for that. That is next time by, not the usual work you're going to do within 3 laps. Got to come in straight away. Still 27 minutes to go here, Andy. Cameron McLeod has gone off well, 4 seconds. The question will be for me is, has Sam Paley been saving a little bit of performance from his Michelin tyres?
Both those guys are very impressive drivers. I think Cameron's got his head down. He really has impressed me. I mean, he's come in as a one-off race. Bearing in mind that Sam Paley has driven this car before. There's a pass there for 27.
It's going to be a touchdown at Arnage, and that was a battle for position. And Drew Nobart and Tom McGlynn in that car going around. He has rejoined. Yes, number 27 has got back on the circuit.
The field is very close to them. They're all pretty much down to their own slipstream. It's really good battles. You've got Matt Nicol-Jones challenging now Marco Signoretti. Now Matt's the team owner and Marco drives for him, so there's going to be a bit of pride at stake there, I would say. There's a good battle going for the podium with Matt looking very racy, and Jensen's got his head down. You're noticing also Cameron McLeod did a 4:20.9 lap, fastest lap of the race, which potentially could put him on pole for race 2.
That is a very good point. We have to keep an eye open to see if anybody does improve, because if they do, they will improve. I saw a car going slowly down.
Tanner Faust, the leader in the stars. There was something wrong with Tanner Faust's car. He had a big lockup going into going into the Dunlop chicane. I don't believe the cars have. Do they have ABS?
No.
They don't.
Yes, they do
A
have
little,
ABS.
there is ABS, no
Oh,
TC. Yeah.
Right, so that's strange then. Something wrong there for Tanner Faust.
So I think then that means Chelsea Tanofa has gone into the lead. Frankie Muniz in second and Jim Farley now in third position in the Dark Horse Stars. Also someone going off and kicking up the dust. Amazing with all the water we've had here recently, how phenomenally dry it still is down at Turk Rouge in the edges of the circuit. Alex Bashura then with Robert Noeger now right behind him. This is extraordinary. Noeger right up in the wheel tracks of the 33 Spark Performance leader in the Dark Horse Legends. This is the battle for 8th position from a car that started in 38th position.
The thing is, though, is that there's another well, I would imagine Loic will be able to get this move done, but he's got 6.9 seconds up to the next car as they come down into the second chicane on the Mulsanne, and Montmagura not making it easy. The oral surgeon who won the Dark Horse Legends last year and is leading the championship this year.
Chip Van First in the number 68 car has also got the black and orange flag, so they would have to come in. So Bashura holding off Robert Noeger as they are on one of the long runs. Noeger's not been able to challenge there at the front of the field. Cameron McLeod with 5.4 seconds now. Back to Sam Paley, Marco Signoretti, two of the juniors. Matt Nicol-Jones, Jensen Altman, another 6 seconds further back. That incident that we saw earlier between Tom McGlynn and Drew Neubauer has been noted at Arnage. Signoretti and Mark Nicol-Jones, both for Academy Motorsport, similar liveries on the cars. Marco Signoretti, proud Canadian.
He is. Marco's a family member of the Multimatic team. He's one of our test drivers. He's a good driver. Matt Nicol-Jones has got a lot of experience, and he's raced cars with manual gearboxes, and he's old school blip and shift and all that sort of stuff. So he's looking like he's very racy, and I would say a little bit faster than Marco at this stage. And I think
Does Matt do a bit of classic racing as well?
Matt's done some classic
Yeah,
racing.
so.
Obviously last year he drove the GT4 for Academy in the Ford Mustang. He's a good driver, Matt. He's done Formula 3 and everything else. So well, yeah, here we go. We've got Noeger passing.
Yeah, he's passed the number 33. That's the leader in the Dark Horse Legends, Alex Bachura. So Bachura then holding on to his lead in the category. Dan McKeever is the next car he's got to look back to for the blue mirrors and the blue door squares. That's the Robert Noeger car, the number 91, but between them is Nathan Van Springel. But I think the 95 has got to come in.
He didn't pit, but there's nothing. I cannot see anything obvious on the car for 95 Nathan Van Springel that would cause him to have to come in. So maybe that has just been mistaken, perhaps. But anyway, he's kept back. He's kept going. A little bit of damage to the rear of Tanner Faust's car, so I wondered if that was maybe where he lost time.
Well, he's actually still scored as the leader in that class. So,
yes, he is.
So Chelsea Tanofa did not close in and go through. Will Lucas having a bit of a battle with David Wall at the moment. David Wall of Wall Racing. You'll know those guys from the fabulous psychedelic sort of slightly melted BASF livery, the Bathurst 12 Hours on the Lamborghini. So much interest from Australia and New Zealand. Hello to everybody who's watching over there. Hopefully, well, we'll be back with you next year for the 12 Hours. Otherwise, Bathurst 12 Hours. And you're trying very hard to get back for the 6-hour race as well next Easter.
And the Mustang has a little bit of Australian in it as well. You look at
the
success it's had down under. I mean, I loved it when the previous generation supercars, when the Mustang came in and replaced the Falcon, and Scott McLaughlin was just
Okay, here we go.
in that car. It was a great machine to watch. That was the previous generation.
This is the fight for the podium, guys, here. The final podium spot.
Signoretti.
Marco.
No team orders here. They might be teammates, but they are both in the Dark Horse category. So Canada versus Great Britain. Matt Nicholl-Jones looks to the left-hand side, gets back in again, tries to get a second blast of a little bit of a tour. Oh, a little bit late on the brakes, but great driving by Marco Signoretti. I thought he was going to massively miss the apex there on the second chicane, the first part there, the left-hander. He got it hauled into the apex.
I think Marco's I know he's a little bit extreme on his setup here. He's decided to make the car quite loose on the entry, and now I bet he's regretting that decision because he's under a lot of pressure from Matt there with the rear of the car moving on the braking. John, one thing that I think is really important with these vehicles is, as the driver, you can influence the balance of the car with braking, shifting and down changing. And this is something these kids are doing. It's not just a click of the paddle. And this is something that I think is really valuable for these youngsters to be learning at this stage.
Here's Sir Chris Hoy, third of those three cars. In the number 77, the 7 standing for his 7 Olympic gold medals. Of course,
doing well. His lap times are good. Chris is a very competitive, of course, he's a super competitive guy, and it comes through, but he's a lovely guy, and he's fighting hard. Here we go, side by side.
Yeah, this is Signoretti and Matt Nicholl-Jones again, and this time through goes Matt Nicholl-Jones, and that is an incredible pass into the right-hander before Indianapolis. That is really brave and good driving by both of them there, Andy, because you've got to have respect if you're going to make that pass.
A side-by-side move into the fastest corner, most daunting corner on the track. I mean, it's blind, fast entry, and you've got to gather the car up for the slower part of that section. It's a very tricky, complex section, so Matt's driving well. I think Matt's going to probably gap Marco at this point, and I think he's on to Sam Paley now. That's his next target. And you can see he's actually pulling a gap already.
So many of you saying, I've never seen this many Mustangs. Great racing, great sound. We do it every couple of weeks on the IMSA package, and we'll have this kind of coverage for you. Full, live, free, unblocked, and no breaks in sound and vision. IMSA Radio and IMSA TV throughout the rest of the year. We've got another race here. First thing on race day morning, Saturday morning here is the first track action up with the Larks. What a way to wake up the campsite with the sound of 38 5-litre V8. And of course it was announced last month, I think it was, or perhaps the month before, that the second of the Mustang series, it will be a Mustang Cup series, so that's the opportunity for 2 drivers to share a car in races over the weekend, both taking a shot in one of 2 races. So the Mustang Cup Series will go to Australia in 2026. So for those of you down under thinking, I'd like a bit of this, well, watch out for more details soon on that. That was reported, as I say, I think sometime in April or May, that will be coming over to you. These cars will be coming over to you in 2026.
Interestingly, on the battle between the 62 of Matt Nicholl-Jones and the 97 of Marco Signoretti, exactly what Andy mentioned earlier on, when you make a mistake out one of those slow corners, you lose it all the way down the straight, and that's exactly what happened to Signoretti. He got on 2 wheels on the gravel coming out of Mulsanne, and that lost the momentum, and that gave Nicholl-Jones the opportunity to pounce.
Tom Tate with the multicoloured car coming through the Ford chicane in the number 8. Now, who's he got sitting behind him as they cross the line now? Tate, and then it's Sir Chris Hoy in that 77 car as they head up through the first corner. Doesn't look much of a corner, turn 1 effectively, Andy, but it's uphill, and it's absolutely key to get your car balanced before the braking area to the chicane.
You know, your mind is fully calibrated at 170 miles an hour, and you've got to slow up one of the slowest corners on the track whilst turning and down changing. So it is a corner that does require some technique. It's almost flat in this car, but you always have to consider almost flat.
Those are the best corners, though, because that's where the driver makes the difference.
That's right. It's how you play with the pedals and steering and how you time everything together. And that is something that, you know, you can see these guys. What interests me at the moment is that the top 6 cars are all lapping within about 2/10 of each other. So they're really getting their head down. This race, here we go again. We've got some real good challenges down the order, 34 and 38 there on the inside into the chicane.
That's Automatic Racing, Will Lucas and David Wall coming through on the inside in the Pace-sponsored red, white and blue machine with the flag of his nation on the side. Peter Mackay.
Interestingly, Signoretti's got back past Nicol Jones because Nicol Jones made a slight error coming into coming out of the Daytona chicane, and that allowed Signoretti to get by. So they are swapping back and forth all the way.
Do you know one thing that's really, it's easier to follow than to be followed here, because you always wait for the car in front to brake, you brake a fraction later, and then you get a little bit earlier and neater on the throttle, and when you're actually leading the train, you're the reference, and that's not easy around here.
Robert Noinger is hovering into view behind David Hall and Will Lucas. They're having their own scrap at the moment, but behind them it is the white and blue number 13 further up the field. Signoretti and Matt Nicol Jones still continue to battle. This is the inter-team battle at Arnage. Heavily banked corner at Indianapolis, excuse me, heavily banked corner. And I think Matt's probably overcooked his tyre a little bit, because now that car is moving around a lot on the braking. And here we go again. We're into the slipstream, and Matt's now having a look back at Marco. So this race, I mean, if I was them, I would concentrate on trying to move forward first. Yeah, and they are teammates. So this is a new part of the surface right now. So that big bump that you'll remember as you turn in to the Porsche curves there, Andy, is gone. But then the surface stops and you're back on the old surface for that tricky double left-hander. Change of grip level there.
Big time change of grip level. Really daunting part of the Porsche curves. It's just so special. Matt's now looking up the inside of Marco here. We've got to get through karting. Very strict on track limits. So, Marco's just done a track limit there, and you see Matt benefited from that. So Marco will have a warning now. Very, very strict on track limits here. Obviously, an ultra high level of sporting control, being the major wet race of the season. So these kids are learning how to play within the rules, which is very important.
Across the line for those two having the battle. Cameron McLeod is on his 8th lap. We still, Peter Mackay, have 13 minutes to go, which I reckon means that we are going to get 3, possibly 4 more laps if Cameron keeps up the pace he's going at the moment.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Hooray!
Hooray! Yeah, we get one bonus. They are hoping to put enough fuel in the car. That's for sure. We've had that a few times.
Well, that's good.
This week is massive slide for Will Lucas in 7th place, trying to hold off Robert Noaker. It comes into the first part of the Dunlop chicane, and the rear comes around. It's not often nowadays actually where racing cars have such expressive personalities, because the aero is so good. They look like they're on train track. Now this type of category, the car really gets to move around. It makes it very entertaining.
Dan McKeever is 2nd in the blue plates. That is the legend, and he has got trouble behind him right now, because coming through is Dan McKeever. Coming through past Dan McKeever rather is Sandy Satulo. They are 4 Robert Noaker racing cars. 4 Robert Noaker racing cars by name, but they're running another 2 for other teams. So 6 cars there have got under their awning this weekend. And then right behind Sandy is Tanner Faust. Whatever was ailing Tanner Faust before seems to have cleared up a little bit. He's still got 4.5 seconds on Chelsea Denova in that battle in the stars category, and make no odds, absolutely no doubt in my mind that although that is a fully invitational class in the stars, there's still a bit of bragging rights. To the left-hand side, Robert Noaker goes for the overtake. He's on the inside for the second chicane, 2/3 of the way down the Mulsanne straight, goes up the inside of Automatic Racing and Will Lucas, and the blue and white car, metallic blue and white car of Robert Noaker, softly spoken man, but let's keep driving to the talking. Runaway leader in the championship in the state so far, unbeaten in the rounds that we've had in the IMSA Championship, and he is staking a claim for driver of the day right here from 38th position, as Eric Evans had that problem and did not come to the green flag, but from 38th at the green flag, now up to 7th position and 16, call it 17 seconds away from the leader, but he's not catching the leader on time. at the moment, Peter McCarthy.
No, and the fastest lap of the race set by your race leader Cameron McLeod, who, because he's doing such a perfect job, we haven't really talked about it much. He's 5.3 seconds down the road. He holds the fastest lap of the race. Robert Noaker's best is 2/10 slower than that. But Noaker now is the few cars ahead of him. His absolute best is a little bit better, so we could see him move a few positions before the end. Interested to see how far he goes as the rear bumper from the number 1 of Tanner Faust comes off on the Mulsanne straight.
And that is debris in the track, just heading into the first chicane. And we're covering that with a double yellow at the moment.
Nice to see a proper race, support race here at Le Mans, because they can be tricky with the slow zones. It's an old school circuit as well, with, you know, gravel on the exit, so you do pay a price if you get it wrong. And it's really nice to see a rhythmic race and giving these guys a chance to really learn the track. And I'm sure as you go forward through the weekend, the next race tomorrow will be even closer at the front. Everybody's getting a chance now to really know what they want from the car and maybe to make some changes before tomorrow's race. We've still got the Matt and Marco battle going on here for the final spot on the podium.
M&M's here, Matt and Marco. Tall lads is Marco Signoretti.
Did you say fucking M&M?
Again, relatively quietly spoken. He's grown up around motor racing, always wanted to drive in sports cars and endurance racing, and he's making a name for
I can't drive that car.
On the Multimatic roster.
Like Marco, he's a great kid. He's a nice, hard-working boy, and you know, he's great fun to work with him. I'm also working with Nathan Van Sprinkle, who's still out there in the top 10, the top 11 cars, 10th in the Dark Horse Series. And these juniors have really impressed me, how open-minded they're really. Oh yeah, we've got to lock up. That's Tanner Faust.
Tanner Faust with that bumper that is flying around. Sandy Tertulo it was that went wide in the Ford chicane in the number 7 car. I'm surprised Tanner hasn't had a black and yellow yet for that. Right up behind Tanner Faust at the moment is Dan McKeever, who's second in the Dark Horse Legends, and it's not closing in on Alex Bashura, who still leads that category. And an incident for the Motor City Dark Horse racing car of Josh Hansen, and that is at the Ford chicane as well. A bit of hip and shoulder. He had it, and then he didn't have it. Just got behind on the steering and just taps the wall. Now, if he hasn't broken the tooling on the left rear there, he should be able to get that going. Do you notice who that was?
Yeah, it was Chelsea Denova.
It was Chelsea Denova, yeah. That's second in the stars category.
Chelsea Denova.
Should be able to get that car going again, showing at Marshall's Post 1. That number 11 from Motor City Dark Horse Racing. It was on the outskirts of the top 10. It's been the M&M show for sure with Matt Nichol-Jones. Now right back in the wheel tracks of the similar car of Marco Signoretti.
They're only 5 seconds off. No, only a couple of seconds off. Sorry, Sam Paley. So if they get, they're starting to reel them back in. If they were to work together, they could really be fighting for position 2 on the podium here.
These cars are not that aerodynamically worried in terms of following behind.
These fucking cars are hauling ass.
They're not that aerodynamically challenged in that respect. Yeah, we get good racing, but still, there'll be an effect. If 2 cars work together, they'll be faster than a single car.
Absolutely. You know, 2 engines and one big, you know, frontal area will help the VMAX. So they need to work together and push each other around. If you're defending really hard,
in the left-hand corner, and this is another pair of the.
That is David Wall and Jensen Altsman.
Jensen Altsman with the there. Yeah, Jensen with the.
He ain't giving it up easy.
You
ain't taking out to dinner before you take this ass.
Team Floral and all racing cars, Peter.
And Robert Noaker has got a perfect grandstand view of them, saying, yes, you guys keep doing that. To Andy's point, right you guys keep doing up, and I'll catch up with you.
Well, it looks, I'm afraid, as if that number 11 car did move away for Josh Hansen, but he hasn't got all the way around. And maybe he hasn't actually. I don't think he has moved. He's got out the car, and we've also got a yellow. Well, we've got a yellow coming into the Ford chicane just before where Josh's car is is stopped, and a penalty coming in for speeding in the slow zone. And that is for Team Anzac and Andrew Madecki, another one of the Antipodeans who have come up 6 seconds added to the end of the race time. That was for going too quickly in the slow zone. Just what you were saying, Peter. These are
5 minutes left.
These are skills you might have to learn if you come to WEC racing. I'm sure there'll be other people looking at slow zones, particularly on longer circuits.
Yeah, it could be something that you're right, that could be rolled out in other places. I mean, we see it used a lot with success at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And double length. So
Actually, almost exactly.
is it really?
I wonder if they're using drones instead of helicopters.
Yeah, on these longer circuits, it really does make a difference. As we come through towards the end of the lap, then underneath, the guests in the Ford VIP hospitality are getting a great view of the Ford chicane.
This is what I want to be
Cigaretti
racing
still
with.
hanging on to
The
that
fucking
last
game I was
podium.
trying to use
The
doesn't do
62
this
of Matt
shit.
Nicholl-Jones, the former British GT
And I'm not
champion,
supporting
right on
Forza
the
anymore.
Now, at the front of the field, the gap has come down significantly. We've only got this lap. Oh, there'll be another lap, I think, for the leader, Cameron McLeod, unless he plays it very cannily. No, he'll be on his last lap now, and we've had an incident at the exit of the Porsche chicanes. This will bring out a red flag. And I was just about to say that Sam Paley has pushed the go button and he cut the lead of Cameron McLeod down to 3.8 seconds. His charge to the front has been halted by a red flag as David Wall is in the barriers. In the number 38 car, he is out of the barriers. The front end of the car is deranged. Right at karting.
Yeah, that was a fairly substantial impact. Glad to see him out the car.
He's just come straight across the.
Whoa, what the fuck did I
There's
miss?
been a bit of side-by-side there that's maybe broken the steering there, Andy.
It's possible. I mean, it is one of those corners that you do tend to come together on, I'm afraid, with two cars, very much one racing line. Also, the exit curbs are very, very aggressive, and you can overcorrect, and the car could steer right. Yeah, it's a common area for it's a pinch point.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he's out the car.
Andy Preo, Peter Mackay, me, John Hindhaugh. Well, only a lap, but it would have been very interesting because Sam Paley was taking big chunks of time. He took 1.8 seconds out of the leader, Cameron McLeod, on the last lap before the red flag, and he was already gaining more when the red flag came out. But Sam will not be too disappointed, I think. Provisionally, and further down the field, there might be some changes.
What the fuck is Sam on here?
To the end of
that must be second place.
Green flag lap before the red came out. All the cars being asked to go back to the paddock. The podium ceremonies are down there, so we will not see that, I'm afraid. But let's congratulate our dark horse podium finishers. Cameron McLeod for Ryan McLeod Racing Car, the number 92. From Sam Paley in second in the number 26. Paley
This is so cool.
Academy Motorsport, Marco Signoretti in third. So two of the youngsters right up there. Cameron McLeod, who is a young star of the future in Australian motorsport, leading the Super 2 category at the moment and looking for a drive in supercars. Matt Nicholl-Jones and Jensen Altman in fourth and fifth, with Will Lucas in with Robert Noyager rather coming up to sixth position from the back of the 38 car grid, and Will Lucas in seventh. Now Robert Noyager's lap time of a 4:22.5. He might be on pole.
Well, I think
Oh man, Sandy, your car.
Robert will be on the back of the grid for the second race. I think he's lost both qualifying tour. I believe so.
Right.
We need to check the regulations.
I think he'll get his lap time from this race.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
do hope so. He deserves it because he's driven very well.
And I think him and Cameron McLeod will have a great battle.
Oh,
I don't think one will pull away from the other.
It's mouth-watering tomorrow. Set your alarm clocks. If you're at the campsite, you won't need to, because the sound of 39 V8s will wake you up. Congratulations in the Dark Horse Legends class to Alex Bashura, finishing a very creditable 8th overall, ahead of Dan McKeever in 2nd for Robert Noaker Racing, and for 3rd it's the Tech Sport Racing Alfonso Diaz who got up into the top 15. The Stars, after a little bit of a cough, a splutter and a rear bumper that was at a jaunty angle, Tanner Faust, X-Games gold medalist in the #1 Spark Performance car, wins the Dark Horse Stars from Chelsea Denofa, involved in a bit of an incident earlier on, and Frankie Muniz is on the podium. What a brilliant, brilliant race. Andy,
Look at that.
Fantastic race
Look
to
at
watch.
that.
Also,
A screenshot
great by Ford Performance.
for a
All of these
computer
cars
right
pretty
there.
much finishing the race, apart from a few offs here and there. A very, very good support race that was, and I think it's nice
That's
to
so
see
cool.
so many yellows, and also a very good driving standard. So I've enjoyed that race a lot.
Totally agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
the worry is
That's
that
good
you get a lot of
racing
time
right
by
there,
the safety
boy.
car dealing with incidents, but also race control handling the incidents that did happen in the slow zones, allowing everyone to get their full racing
I think that's
experience.
brilliant.
It's fantastic. And to Andy's point about what the effort that Ford Performance have put in, no American manufacturer has ever done a bigger shipping effort than Ford have for this to Le Mans than here this weekend, because the amount of cars, parts, bits and pieces is a huge undertaking.
I think I've got the numbers right when I say that they shipped 40 cars and 20.
Yeah, motherfuckers are taking these turns.
3 of those came
Oh, sorry,
as
like
air
me.
freight, and the rest and some of the spares came on a boat. So it was a two-pronged invasion, if you will. But also what you
What
see
the fuck?
there is how much the suspension is moving on Tanner Faust's car, how much the sidewalls of the Michelin tyres are working. They went down to 18-inch rims for this season. They started last year for the inaugural season on 19s, and after a bit of discussion with the teams and with Michelin, they went down to 18-inch rims and tyres to the absolute agreement.
You see how
of
these
all
cars
concerned. They felt that
are hitting these
worked better
bumpers,
with the car
right?
and the suspension
And the game doesn't do it like
Absolutely,
that.
The car, the tyre, the damping, it all has to
They
work
float.
together, and that was a good choice, I think. You can see the Multimatic dampers working overtime there on these chicanes, and all of the drivers commented on how good the car is over the curbs. So, and it's nice to see these slow-mos in action. I'm sure the few teams are going to be playing these back today to see how they can improve the car further for race 2.
What do you take from that, Peter Mackay, before we have a quick look
That was
at
a good
some
race.
highlights?
Well,
That was a
think it
damn good
cements,
race.
Cameron McLeod's position as a really promising talent for the future. You know, down in Australia, he'll be well known if he's leading the Super 2
I want to know if that's the
championship,
actual
but,
Frankie
on the
Muniz.
European side of things, that really shows how
The
fast he
actor.
is. We saw him at Dubai, actually, in the
Yeah, we did.
24-hour driving a Porsche Cup car very, very well indeed. His dad, Ryan, actually used to own Mark cars.
Correct.
So they're a big racing family too.
So 8 laps, the result taken at the end of 8 laps, although we were well through the 9th. Cameron McLeod, Sam Paley, Marco Signoretti, Matt Nichol-Jones, Jensen Altzman in 5th position, David Wall, Robert Noaker, Will Lucas. Bachura takes the Dark Horse Legends for Spark Performance. The Stars by Tanner Faust also for Spark Performance as well. Nathan Sparks, who will be delighted with that, former MX5 Cup champion himself, so he knows all about single manufacturer racing. Just looking further down, Jim Farley passed some cars. He finished inside the top 20. 21st position for Sir Chris Hoy. Chris Harris will take over that car for the race tomorrow morning. Doug Peterson got to the end with that bonnet, with his hood signed by all of the fans from the autograph session yesterday. 13th in class for Doug Peterson in that brightly coloured car. Problems for Josh Hansen, who had a little bit of a side swipe coming through the Ford chicane and didn't get the full trip. Chip Van First was also, I think that car was smoking at one stage. Keith Kasulke didn't get the trip either, and Eric Evans didn't get the start, so he'll be disappointed at that. The cleanup continues for a moment or two. An unfortunate end to a fabulous race, and already the Manitou out there picking that one up. Andy Prio, you've enjoyed that?
I've really enjoyed it with you guys, and I wish you all the best of luck for the weekend. It was nice to see that car and driver walk away, and the car's taken a big impact there. And here we go, start of the race and highlights.
Oh, absolutely. absolutely fantastic stuff. My thanks to Andy Creel, he'll be heading back to Guernsey, and to Joe, his lovely wife, wish you both the best, and also to Sebastian,
Here we go.
who is racing next weekend in the IMSA Tech Sports Car Championship. Coverage for that on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Peter Mackay, brilliant racing in the middle of the field. So often these races are marred by safety cars, but lots of respect, lots of close racing. Even bits of double drafting in the early running.
Fantastic quality of racing, and
Damn!
the sturdiness of the machine, because this is the biggest test of the car we've ever seen, and that was what the mom was created for in the first place in 1923, to and beyond its limit, and the Mustang Dark Horse R has come through with flying colours, red and white colours.
Yes, I would say you're spot on with that as well. And what an opportunity for all of these drivers. At the front of the field, Cameron McLeod from that inherited pole position. He would have started on the front row anyway, but he made the best of it and stretched out to getting on for 6 seconds at one stage. Sam Paley started to pull him back towards the end of the race, but then the red flag came out. But surely the talk will be about Robert Noack starting dead last in the blue and white number 13, carving his way through the field. Now, at the back of the field, I think he made up technical positions, Peter Mackay noted, just in the first sector, which is from the start-finish line through to the entrance of Turf Rouge, and then he continued his charge forward into the top 15, into the top 10, and he will finish in 7th position. No points for this one, but he'll be delighted by that. I think he will get his lap time in this race because the car would have been legal for this.
Let's get some
So
cars.
he lost all of his qualifying times from the qualifying session. The regulations say if you improve your qualifying time, that's what sets your grid position. So I think we'll see him far further up the field.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, because I think we want to see that battle between Cameron McLeod and Robert Noack.
So Cameron McLeod takes it. Alex Mashura inside the top 10 for Spark Performance in his category for the Legends. Fantastic stuff from the man from Down Under, and he has got a big future ahead of him. Andy Priot was alongside me, John Hindorf and Peter Mackay. Still got a couple of cars to clear out of the pit lane. Now, we've got a long 36, 38 hours coming up for us tomorrow on Saturday, Peter, but having seen that, I am not at all worried about getting up to see this race and to call this race in the morning.
Definitely not. No, who needs caffeine when you have 5 to go with the 8?
So excellent stuff from everyone concerned. If there was a driver of the race, it would be going to Robert Noack in that blue and white car. 6 cars his team have prepared over the last few days. They are in the paddock over by the old Maison Blanche. Great history in every single turn of this 8.5 kilometres, 8.5 miles, 13.5 kilometres. Let me get that the right way around. But all the way around here, there's history and a new set of drivers experiencing this here. A good run for everyone. Frankie Muniz, super popular in the 133 with all of the fans, and he'll be back tomorrow in the Tech Sport car as well. Just great fun in terms of what we've seen, and I'm sure what the drivers have experienced. Just looking down, talk about bucket list. Bruce Marine for LAP Motorsport, just outside the top 10 in the Legends in that number 37 car. Lewis Pericarpi uses the number 37 and 73. He used to run minis, and of course the 37 was the famous number of the Monte Carlo winning mini that's 33 EJB that then got thrown out because of the wrong lamp bulb, apparently, rear light bulb. But Lewis Pericarpi likes that. Bruce Marine over from the US, Ryan working with us this weekend is his son, and absolutely bucket list sort of experience for a lot of these drivers.
And yeah, that's what it's about. We've got such a great mix of young star drivers trying to make the name for themselves and grow their career. But then you've also got drivers who, you know, work hard during the week and race for fun at the weekend, and it doesn't get any better than coming to Le Mans and driving a Ford Mustang here. And that's the opportunity that this Invitational opens up.
So stand by your beds early tomorrow morning when we are back on the track. Check local listings for details. My great thanks to everybody concerned in our broadcast, particularly our hard-working camera operators. They've got another long day tomorrow, and we'll get them out of bed for the next race here in the TV compound at the end of the Bugatti circuit. What a way to kick off Fast Friday. There is more action at the circuit today, although we won't be covering it. The action, however, provided by the opening of the circuit to the general public, not to drive, but to walk around. So those who are feeling particularly fit will be given the opportunity to experience this circuit. It won't reopen to the public now until around about 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. Well, I think we can say that the Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational has been a success. Congratulations for the idea to Mark Rushbrook of Ford Performance. This was a thing that he had in his head. He thought we could make it happen. He has made it happen, and well done to Scott Bartlett and the rest of the Ford Performance team, along with their global logistics partners, for making this happen. A huge undertaking from them to get the cars here, and to the drivers, the teams, their friends and family. Well, I'm sure that they will think that the effort that they have made to come to the Circuit de la Sarthe has been worthwhile.
$18. That's what we just watched. Ooh.
Settling in for the main event. It is 2 classes, 4 hours, and a drying track. The track has dried very, very quickly indeed, and we're hearing from Kevin Lee via our BDO pit lane report that the GSs have mostly, if not all, gone on slick tyres. Now, if I had told you that we'd been starting maybe 45 minutes or an hour ago, you would have laughed in my face. You would have had somebody actually certified, because it was really wet, it was slippery, it was greasy. It's by no means bone dry at the moment.
Forget about the start now. Keep pushing hard and earn those places.
A pit stop is going to be key. Good afternoon to Brian Marine.
You made that the break.
Great 4 hours at Daytona. Another one, the final one for the Michelin Pilot Challenge for 2025. The added, I suppose, attraction for the teams, the drivers and their sponsors. They are top of the bill this weekend.
This is the headline show here at Mid-Ohio. Everybody showed up to see this 4-hour race. And look, sometimes I feel like the great racing and Pilot Challenge gets a bit overlooked because of how good the WeatherTech Championship has been over the years. But no risk of that here this weekend. You get the great interplay between the classes. You've got the threat of weather that could spice some things up. And look, 4 hours, that's plenty of time for these strategists to earn their pay here this weekend as well. It should be a ton of fun, and it really starts with the car on pole. Thomas Merrill set in a wonderful time in qualifying. The thought had been maybe this isn't the best track for the Porsche Cayman. The other Cayman teams are wondering, what has AR Motorsports found that we haven't? Because Merrill was utterly dominant in qualifying.
Yeah, he put in a time. It was only a tenth or so quicker than Paul Holt, but then there was a bit of a gap back to Turner Motorsport. It's Porsche and Aston Martin, but AR Motorsports and Team TGM on the front row. We've got a bit of time here because we will not go green until the 3rd time by the back straight start. Remember, down towards turn 4. Not
Forget about the start now. Keep pushing hard and earn those places back.
Last week, we
on, dude. What am I
start
missing?
line, finish and restart and start line at Detroit. This, however, was the original, I suppose you could say, here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. 15 TCRs, and the top of the TCR field, Carl Whitmer in the FMG, the Mayal Motorsport Group Honda Civic, latest version of their TCR, the FL5, the number 93. Sitting behind their own safety car at the moment, that's the red Porsche that's leading them around. My goodness me, that was a time for the ages. Front-wheel drive cars go well around here, Ryan. He would have been, what, on the third row of the GS field, and he's got to kick his wits about him in the opening laps because he's faster than 18 in the cars ahead of him at a single lap pace at least.
Yeah, just remarkable how quick these TCR cars are relative to the rest of the field. I mean, we see some of that overlap at other tracks, but Mid-Ohio's a great low-horsepower car kind of track. That second half of the lap, so much fluidity to it, so much momentum involved in it. You can't necessarily let all the horsepower loose in some of the bigger, more powerful cars, so you see a greater overlap, and especially in the beginning of this race, John, where, again, conditions aren't quite there. We see a dry line starting to form, but it's not fully there yet. That's another advantage for those front-wheel drive cars. So I think the back of the GS field will be happy that we have that class split coming to the initial green. Because I don't think it'll be too long until some of the front runners in TCR start to catch the back of the GS field.
Those with long memory will call to mind.
I think we found our racing game.
Will call to mind the race
I love it.
at Live Rock Park, where quite often the TCR cars, and particularly in that twisty first sector, would be quicker than all of the GS machinery. Well, let's take a look at the track tour here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It is tight, it is twisty, it's technical, but it's fast in places. 13 corners. Will start effectively at turn 3, run down to turn 4.
Dude, that looks like a cool track.
Over the top of the hill of 5. A little bit of off camber as you go down.
Very
the hill.
technical.
6, 7, and 8. 9, the left-hander onto Thunder Valley, but my goodness, that's a tough one. Some key areas, the keyhole. Up the hill, you can brake really, really late. I think you'll want to be on the dry line here if you're on slick tyres. Then, another heavy braking area down towards turn number 4. We had 3 wide there in the Mazda race. Usually the driver on the outside is going to lose out on that unless you can tough it out. And then coming to the end of the race, the carousel, the end of the lap, should I say, 180 degrees of right-hander, a little bit of difference in the pavement as well, and then you get out for a short run to the finishing line. I've seen passes made before the finish coming out of the carousel in the past. Now, as we went past the finish line, we started this race, but we haven't started racing yet. So it's up to the 2 drivers at the front, which is Thomas Merrill in the Porsche, the dark red car. What a beautiful colorway it is. And then the Team TGM Aston Martin Vantage with 2 BMWs behind from Turner Motorsport and Carbahn with Peregrine. Turner, of course, in their traditional yellow and blue. Behind then, it's a Mercedes of Winward Racing and Bryce Ward, and Moise Aretsky for the Ibiza Farm Motorsport. McLaren right in there as well. The green flag is in the air. We're already counting down the 4 hours. Down towards the first danger area for Thomas Merrill, our pole sitter, but he's done a good job. Comes from the middle of the road, goes through the right-hander, side by side for second. Following through there, Turner Motorsports, Dylan McAvern in the BMW, right on their heels it seems. Here we go for the green flag in TCR, and Paul sitting Honda on the inside, the lighter colour cars, then the works coloured Hyundais coming through as a group with 3 of those before 2 out of the 3 Hyundais actually, Victor Gonzalez Racing being the 3rd there. But you cannot fault the front of the field and the start by the Porsche of Thomas Merrill. Not a Porsche Cayman GT4 track. Who was selling you that one earlier in the week, Ryan Murray?
Well, you just looked at the practice times, and there weren't too many featuring up towards the front, but the exception has been the AR Motorsports car of Thomas Merrill. How about the start from
think I had,
McAfee, though? He got the jump there
4 groups.
up to second place from the second row of the grid. Very interesting as well to see that Windward elected to start Bryce Ward, so he's up against some of the big names in some of these cars here at the very beginning of this race, but holding his own on the opening lap.
Our BDO pit lane reports coming from Kevin Lee in the next 4 hours, who's patrolling the pit lane on his own this weekend. And he's going to give us an update on tyres and who took what.
So 30 minutes ago, everyone came out on Michelin wet weather tires, but they all changed in the last few minutes. I believe that only the 15 and the 64 started on wet weather Michelins. Not 100% accurate, but the main point is almost everyone changed the slicks. It's going to be hard to make the wet weathers last 40 minutes.
40 minutes being the key time for driver time. Ted Giovannis then in the number 64 and Christine Schloss, the other Aston Martin. They started at the back of the GS field. That might have just been for safety in case there was another splash, but they're going to have to baby those tyres in the next 37, 38 minutes, Ryan, because that is a dry track now. That is all but dry everywhere, and not even going offline a little bit now is going to help those Michelin wet weather tyres.
Oh, and a spin there right in front of the TCR field as well. I think this is Christine Sloss on those wet weather tires, yeah.
Now she's going to have to wait patiently for everybody to come through. This is going to be painful. I think I think they might bring her straight back into pit lane. I know it's not time for her, but they're going to lose nothing now, Ryan. I think that they bring her back into pit lane, put her on a new set of Michelin slicks, and send her for the rest of her 40-minute stint. Looks like Ted Giovannis was in the vicinity there. Impossible to decide whether there was contact, but that's lost a huge amount. Great work by the flaggers. That yellow flag was in the air and waving even before Christine had stopped moving and facing the wrong direction. 5 minutes in then, and drama already, and look what's happening in the pit lane. It is going to be a set of slick Michelin tyres that are going on to that yellow and green Aston Martin. I absolutely agree with that decision, and Kevin Lee is down there watching on.
Weather tires, and they are getting those off. So they will go to the Michelin slicks here, top it off on fuel. Obviously going to lose a lap in this situation, but taking the advantage to simply get on the proper tire for now.
Left rear taking a little more time than I think they would like to. They'll brimfill that car and hope against hope that they can get that lap back at some stage. If they can go longer into the race, or if a safety car falls nicely for them. Carl Whitner, by the way, still leading in TCR, and here this could be the safety car. Oh my goodness me, BMW. Sorry, wash your mouth out. It's an Audi, and it's gone around, and that car is at the moment, and that is Eric Rockwell from Rockwell Autosport Development in a, oh, hang on, traction from the front Michelins. Take that back. That's why I should never work in race control. I think I might have gone for the big yellow button. Looks to me as though that was again in front of a pack of cars, Ryan, and again, great avoidance by everyone behind Eric Rockwell.
Yeah, we didn't get exactly what started that incident for Eric, so we don't know if he was pushed or if he jumped, but great job to get the car refired, and you're right, crucially, the drive wheels, the front wheels were out of the sand pit that time, and he was able to drive away, and consequently we stay green here at Mid-Ohio.
So, already drivers finding the conditions difficult here. Tom Merrill has just put the fastest lap of the race in, 1:28.603, and he's built up an impressive lead, 4 seconds in the space of 4 laps. Now, a second a lap doesn't
Let's start
that
cooking.
much, but this is only
Cooking
a minute and
with
28
good
second
looking.
lap. That is impressive. Another spin, and this time it's the Aston Martin that's gone around the bright green, racing green Aston Martin, the number 71. Oh, that is absolutely not what Frank Depew wanted for Rebel Rock Racing. Again, that was in traffic, and I think that's the TCR cars coming through the back of the GS field that is spooking some of these drivers. Yep, that's exactly what's happened. The leader is coming up. He goes down. Oh, there was contact, definite contact there between Tom Collingwood for BGB Motorsports and Frank Depew there. Was that full fair? No, I think it was the BGB car. Frank got the worst of it and is facing the wrong direction, but definitely those TCR cars coming through, that is causing some consternation in the back to the midfield now of the GS. It's IMSA Radio and TV together. Thanks for being with us. Thomas Merrill puts another fastest lap of the race in. This racing surface is drying fast. It is 1:27.7 is the new fastest lap of the race. And from the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, we are not even 10 minutes in and we've racked up the incident points already. John Hindhaugh with Ryan Marine on the call today, and our BDO pit reports coming from Kevin Lee. Ryan.
A good battle here in the mid-pack of the TCR field. Larry Pegram racing on home soil, proud Ohio native, of course. Mixing it up with the likes of Celso Neto, Suelio Almeida as well in this battle pack. This is good stuff, and they are overlapping with the back of the GS field. That's the CSM car of Phil Fair that's mixed up with them. So we go back to the front now in TCR. The battle continues to be good, and in fact, Tyler Gonzalez had driven to the lead at the line, but wow, how about that? Whitmer's been able to get it back. These two have been at it hammer and tongs, though, since the drop of the green.
Yeah, and it seems to me that Whitmer does not want to give this up to the Hyundais. Also coming through as well, there is one of the GS cars. Is that the Toyota? That's Rafa Martinez, one of the bronze category cars. In fact, he's second in the Bronze Cup at the moment. And now there's a problem
with a puncture
for the Hyundai. Is that a right front? It looks like the right front has gone down on the Hyundai. Number 33, and that is going to cost, well, it's halfway around the lap. It could have been worse, but it could have been a lot better, i.e. could have not got that in the first place for Mark Wilkins, or it could have happened closer to the pit stop. Now, what do they do here? Are they going to have to change their strategy? Again, way too early, Ryan, to make the driver change.
Exactly, have to run 40 minutes minimum each driver. Yeah, that includes the cars that are running 3 drivers here for the longer race this weekend. Must do at least 40 minutes of drive time. That is heartbreaking there for Wilkins and the whole Brian Herta Autosport team, coming off of a strong run to 3rd in the last race at Laguna Seca. They were runners-up in the season opener, remember, at Daytona, the previous 4-hour race, and came into the weekend 3rd in points.
Into the pit lane. Let's take a BDO pit lane report. Here's Kevin. Just standing by. He's had to stand back for the moment as the car comes in. And that was pretty smart, because you never know if they're going to run long there. Brand new right front Michelin tire. They're going to do both fronts. They're going to do a matching pair, and that makes perfect sense. Maybe they'll have to pray to the racing gods here to get them back. They will drop way to the end, if not completely. Ryan Marine, who have had problems early on.
Definitely so. That, you have to think, is one of the championship contenders in only being scored in 15th. So, yeah, that is definitely
correct. It's Ryan Marine at IMSA Radio RS2, still the home of IMSA Radio, and bringing you this action this weekend. And more for you in the coming weeks with some Porsche Carrera Cup North America action next weekend from the Canadian Grand Prix, and then the weekend after, another one of the Blue Ribbon races for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship will be at Watkins Glen in the Finger Lakes region of New York, upstate New York, for the Salins 6 hours of the Glen. Always a fan favourite, that one. And plenty of support race action that weekend as well. Carl Whitmer has lost the lead in TCR to Victor Gonzalez Racing, but he battles back with the fastest lap of the race. So it is a Hyundai leading now, but not one of the Brian Herter Autosports car. Tyler Gonzalez leading in the Elantra from the Honda Civic, 8/10 behind, but new fastest lap of the TCR race from Whitner at the head of the field. Tom Murrell, 6.5 seconds ahead of the field. This simply does not happen at this part of the race. Dylan McIvern in second has a train of hungry drivers. That's the battle pack. Second down to 6th position.
That's a good call. Holton has now Sam Paley for company. We're watching that fight right here with Sean McAllister in the gray and green BMW closing in, and Luca Mars there too. And how about Bryce Ward, who's hanging tough there inside the top 10, dropped a couple of positions, but running solidly in 7th place. How many times have we said it over the years for Bryce? If he could just hang in there, keep them in the mix, he turns it over to Daniel Morad, and magical things can happen.
Yeah, and he's done in some cases, he's done a lot more than just stay on the lead lap, and that was sensible driving from Bryce at the beginning of the race. That's not his fight that is just up ahead of him. He needs to keep that car in one piece, that AMG, and he has done. Dropped down to 7th, as we mentioned, for the Winward Racing number 57, the Techemet supported car. He has got round about 15 minutes under his wheels. They'll be counting that one down very carefully to when they can get in. By the way, anybody who has come through pit lane already, so for example, the Christine Schlosscar Van der Ster Racing, that time she came into the pits to change tyres does not count against her drive time. So she'll have to go just a wee bit more than the 40 minutes. And if I think I can scroll back and see this and see how long she spent in the pit lane, well, it would have been a couple of minutes, I would have thought. So she is going to have to stay out just a little bit more than that to make sure that she gets her 40 minutes in this first run. Settling down, dare I say that a little bit? Settling down at the front of the field, it's still Tom Murrell. His lead has been cut back. So we are now down to just 5.8 seconds. Hello to Alan Space, who's inside the turn 1 at Mid-Ohio. So watching on his device and listening to us on the very efficient public address system. Thanks to everybody who's made that work, both at NASCAR Productions and Clark Cameron's team as well around the circuit. Particular thanks to our camera operators this weekend, the real heroes and heroines. They've been out in everything that the Mid-Ohio weekend has thrown at them, and frankly, that has been pretty much everything. Just on 16.5 minutes gone. Let's take another BDO pit lane report.
And Ultimate are really excited about the opportunity, but it's going to be kind of a quick crash course on it because they've not driven that car this year. Jensen actually has not raced it before and has not tested before, but Sam Paley has won a couple of races, finished 3rd in that championship last year, and has driven the car this year coaching. So they're really excited about that, but now focused on the task at hand, and the car has been getting better as the weekend is going along. It's really tricky, though, in the Ford because of the change of directions. They really struggle a little bit 4 through 9, but feel like they're going to learn things for other tracks and still optimistic they get a great result here today.
And they're in that battle pack in the dark blue, number 13. Macumbi Macalia Racing Ford Mustang GT4, Paul Holton, Sean McAllister, Luca Mars right around them. They have been driving together in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. They've moved up, but as Kevin was just saying in that BDO pit lane report, they've not been in the GT4 car for a little while. Just wonder whether the similarity in their surroundings helps or hinders them, as pit lane, another pit lane caller, and this time it's Thelthor Neto for Precision Racing LA. Looks like there might be a problem with the hood on that car. The bonnet is, well, the bonnet's up. Ooh, is it a turbo issue or something like that? They're looking at the pipes round the front of it. IMSA officials watching on as well. But that was a car that was running well inside the top 10 of TCR before Feldthorpe brought it in. And they've not done anything to it. Let's have more from Kevin Lee.
The gearbox is overheating on the number 7. Gearbox overheating. Not sure if that's something that they can address, but certainly it's something, or address and get back out, but they need to get something sorted to be able to continue.
Brilliant stuff, Kevin, on the spot as ever. Why would the gearbox overheat? Is there a problem with a hose to the gearbox cooler or something like that? It is not that hot outside on in Mid-Ohio this weekend. Currently the temperature here is 64 Fahrenheit in the air, which is 18 Celsius. I mean, that's not cold, but it's not boiling. Also in the pits, the Ibiza Farm McLaren, the Artura in the multicoloured. Now that looks interesting. Going in through the right-hand side door, they're filling it up with fuel as well, but that is way early unless they're going to push that car further into the race, Ryan.
To do some math on how this would work out for them, this is Moise Uretsky and Michael Cooper, who won the season opener at Daytona in dramatic fashion. Remember Michael Cooper's drive to the checkered flag. He had his hands full trying to hang on for that win. Had a good top 10 run at Sebring and had a strong run going at Laguna Seca, but were taken out of that race and ultimately credited with 22nd. But it's been a strong start to the year. Got to see if this is strategy or if this is something that they're trying to deal with here in the early stages.
And that Audi, I'm afraid, has had to go behind the wall. Kevin Lee giving us that information. Lot of green times on the timing and scoring monitors at the moment. You can follow along, by the way, IMSA timing live. As you search for that, or Alcamel with IMSA timing. Let's take an update from Kevin Lee. He's been a busy lad this morning on that Artura. Hustling down the team. Car has not yet gone back out, I don't think. Oh yeah, it's back out on the racetrack.
There was no driver change on the 44 because I talked to Michael Cooper. He simply said there was something that had to be addressed inside the cabin, so they had to do something to help Moise, but the car is okay. They just lose some track time, no driver change.
Kevin Lee, if he was thinking he was going to have a relatively easy day today, has been sprinting backwards and forwards up and down that pit lane for us. Thank you, Kev. Moise Uretsky now with a job to do. Have to get his head in the game. Has lost better part of 2 laps to the leaders. It's going to be a long afternoon for them now. I just wonder, the way they were looking at the passenger side, Ryan, whether there might have been something loose inside the cabin that was worrying Moise. You don't want something getting under your brake foot or your throttle foot when you're at any racetrack, but particularly not here with some very big stops.
It's as good of a guess as any, and you're right. Yeah, this is definitely not a place you want to deal with that. Not just the stops, but all the back and forth they're doing. If you do have something loose, even if it isn't in the footwell, anything rolling around or flying around in there would be very distracting. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. The car seems to be back up to pace, which I suppose is good news, but it's also frustrating because they were having a solid weekend up to this point.
Well inside the top 10 when he brought that car in, and now has dropped way down the field. The fight back starts now. I suppose that's what we're going to be able to say, and you can't miss that car. There's nothing in anything like the same livery. Yellow, sort of a purpley pink, light blue, all over that Ibiza Farms Artura. Low slung machine, sometimes can get lost behind some of the bigger GS, and even the TCR cars are quite a lot higher than that car, but very distinctive coachwork on that McLaren. Big year for McLaren, of course. Will be at Le Mans for the 24 hours Ryan Marine is joining our Radio Le Mans team for that, and it's the anniversary of McLaren winning Le Mans back in 1995. Expecting some interesting news from McLaren on Friday. We've got some time booked with Zach Brown. You'll hear all about that over at our sister service on RS1, and if you're at the track yourself, it'll be 91.2 FM. Great to see that McLaren out. Sad to see it's been delayed, but now we can light the afterburners, because really they are just on a comeback drive, and Moise Areski, nobody better than getting out there and putting in a few qualifying style laps. Sam Paley in second position, just put his fastest lap in the race, but it's still 6 seconds between Tom Merrill and Sam Paley. Porsche versus Ford, then the two BMWs, Dylan McIvern and Sean McAllister, and they are just about half a second apart and a couple of tenths behind second place at the moment. 3 tenths further back, check that, 1.4 tenths, 1.4 tenths, tenths further back, check that, 1.4 tenths, 1.4 tenths.